Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Blue Gamer Bluecast Morning Show. I'm your host, Adam Blue, 30 plus year video game enthusiast and industry analyst. And today, for November 26, 2025, I'll run through the latest gaming news, what I've been playing, etc., etc. So, Morning Ultronymous, Ocarina of Time hype. Yeah, that was the Koriki Forest song. You know, I never really think about it too much. Hey, JamKillX, but it's like when Ocarina of Time came out, that was such an impressionable age for me, right? Because I had to have been like 12 or 13 when that came out. maybe 14. But it's just the music. I remember I even got the soundtrack, and it was pretty cool. Just during that time, I just, my mom was always getting coupons and rebates for things, and I just remember Nintendo always had their Nintendo Club stuff, and so I think she was in that mindset. So whenever there was like, oh, UPCs for the games, send them in. So I'd get plushies back in the 90s of Nintendo stuff, which is probably worth a lot. And I gave it to my youngest. They got destroyed, but hey, that's probably the best way to utilize them. But we still have some. But also, among other things, was a Ocarina of Time soundtrack, CD soundtrack. So I had that very early on, like, game comes out, I have it. And actually, you know what? By the time Majora's Mask, or was it Majora's Mask, that I was driving. So yeah, Ocarina of Time came out. There was a couple years, and then I just because I just remember having the Ocarina of Time CD soundtrack in the van that I drove and listened to that. That was before I got into like metal and all that, and punk was really the first thing. Anyway, great soundtrack. I mean, classic, amazing soundtrack. And it's funny because since then, I felt like Zelda soundtracks have been good, but never as good as Ocarina of Time. But it could have been my age. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, today is Wednesday, right? So it's that Thanksgiving week. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. It's Thursday. I actually did boxing this morning because my partner said he wouldn't be available for tomorrow. I'm still going to be around. I'm probably still going to do this and at 8. So I guess because it's this Thanksgiving week and it's a little slower, I decided to do a test on Monday and Tuesday and do the Bluecast at a later time. I did at 9:30. And this was the optimized time, based on working through my analytics. I think it's just I prefer this first thing in the morning once I get my main stuff done and then get my mind going. And then I guess the idea for that is to then cut out things that would then be the videos that are then posted or whatever. So and then other things are happening that I'll have some updates on later. I don't want to talk about right now, but I'm also, yeah, I'm in a phase where it could be that I do change this time, but I keep this time. I don't know. We'll see. Jim Killix, I was 10 in 5th grade when Ocarina of dropped. Man, yeah, that's the perfect time to play that type of game. Such an amazing experience. I'll try to agree. I think after Ocarina of Time, the music just hasn't been as good overall. Like, there are good individual tracks, but as a whole, they haven't hit the same peak. I agree. There's something about each Ocarina of Time track that it's like its own world. Whereas the later tracks, the later games tend to be a little more atmospheric and less character. I don't know. Still good music though. But oh, you were 7? That's cool. Yeah, we're all in that generation. Okay, let's jump into what I've been playing. And it was a lot and it wasn't a lot. So first of all, this still hasn't properly updated. I don't think I played Alien Infestation yesterday. That was the day before. I was just loading it up to check it out. But Castlevania Anniversary. Oh, yeah, you know what? Maybe that was in the morning. That's right. And then Castlevania Anniversary Collection, though I played it afterwards. Basically, I'm still trying to beat the game. So, Castlevania 4, Super Castlevania. So, I don't know what it is, but it seems way harder than I thought. Because I do remember beating it on the Super Nintendo, unless maybe I never did. I just thought I did. It's just in my mind, I always thought I did. And I know I beat it later again in an emulator. Maybe even more than once. But yeah, playing it now, it's in part of it could be what gaming has sort of done, and I talked about this before with the memorization aspect. I think in games, it's less about memorizing the screen of this is going to come here, that's going to come here. I need to do this at that time. It's less about that. Memorization more comes into the functionality or the mechanics of the game you're playing, memorizing how you should go about something, not when to jump or not jump. So a lot of Super Castlevania still has that memorization where it's like, I'll die and I'm like, okay, back into this room. There's going to be a ghost here, and then there's going to be the skeleton here. I know I got to go under here, and if I hit up, anyway. It's like you could play the game like a Souls game in a way, and then memorize everything so that you could just get through and not get hit. I just don't like to play games like that, and I think that's why I never really finished a Castlevania game from the NES when I was younger. But but Super Castlevania does have the password system, so if anything, that leads me to believe I probably beat it because I was able to use a password system to then get to, and it was probably where I would play maybe a level for a week or two because it's kind of difficult memorizing what to do. And that's the thing. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I remember this. And sometimes I'm like, I don't remember that. And then sometimes the music, I'm like, oh, I remember this music. So it's always fascinating going back and playing just any older game where sometimes you're like, oh, I don't remember this, I don't remember that. And I think what helps you with the Castlevania games is there's so many Castlevania games that you start to build this story in your head of what Castlevania is. So then when I jump into another Castlevania game, I feel like it's more heightened because that sense of being in the world. I think music can do that to other games and stuff like that. So, Ultronymous, later games are very unified, not so much here's a new world biome. Exactly. That is a really good point, especially with, and this takes me back, Breath of the Wild. I remember first playing Breath of the Wild and I was like, I don't like this. And then now I love it. But I don't think I love Breath of the Wild as a Zelda game. I just like it as an amazing game. Kind of like what you're talking about, Ultronymous. I prefer the Zelda where there's those biomes where I feel like as Link, I'm adventuring to these whole new sections, and I'm like, whoa, this is all weird stuff. So, hey, Steven and Midnight Hatter's joined us. That's awesome. Adam, I hope you get on this Wild Blue Skies hype. Oh, yeah, I think it was either Monday's show or last week. Yep, totally discussed that. Yeah, it could have been earlier this week. I forget, but yeah, that's exactly the type of thing Star Fox like. Exactly. Speaking of Star Fox likes, something that's not on here but is on the channel as the live I did yesterday and last night was that Viewpoint 2064. This was a shmup made in Japan in 1999 for N64. It got canceled, never got released. A ROM got dumped on it, but apparently it's been tweaked. I was playing it last night, but the third stage, I think it was the third stage or fourth, crashed. It just froze. And so I think that's an issue with this ROM because it's not an official release and then it's just put out there, It's funny because when it comes to emulating games, I don't think I've ever had to worry about a ROM freezing or maybe the experimental stuff like the PS4 emulation, maybe some early PS3 emulation, but generally the games just don't freeze after some time. So I think that's just a matter of this was never a real release and someone just dumped the ROM online. I might have to do a little more research maybe to fix it because I want to play through it again. I just don't want to. I don't want it to freeze. It's a shmup and it's like you have to go through the whole thing. There's not like a save system or anything. So yeah, you know what, Steven, the one I was just talking about just now, Viewpoint, is like that. I think we're getting a whole bunch of them all of a sudden. Even the R-Type HD boosted that they released, it's just the PS1 graphics, just a little nicer. So it seems like that style is getting a little more popular. And then what else did I play? Okay, so Predator Concrete Jungle, I played a little bit on stream yesterday, and I jumped into it again. It's a very fun game. It has its flaws, but the core of what's there could work today. The movement, the controls, and the animation of the Yautja, the Predator character, is excellent and could be done today. just jumping around, moving the camera. It's funny how it was default to inverted, and I went to go invert, so then I had to go back and uninvert. But the horizontal was it's so weird, the controls of the cameras, but they had the options there. I do like the controls. It's funny because I remember when I first played it. I will be honest that it didn't really have a lot of things that were going on in gaming at that time. Yeah, let me do something. Top video games of 2005. Oh yeah. When you're playing stuff like Resident Evil 4, God of War, Call of Duty 2, man, Burnout Revenge, Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow. What a year of games. Time Splitters, not the best one, but that was still a good one. From Russia with Love, that was a great James Bond game. Wow, we were spoiled with James Bond games. Yeah, if you play here, that's a really good example. If I go, From Russia with Love game, just if you were to look at the gameplay, and I could be completely wrong because I haven't looked at it in a long time, but let me this is really well done for a 2005 game. And I guess the reason I'm saying that is because when you play Predator Concrete Jungle, while maybe there's some similarities in the texture resolution, clarity, whatever, it's the whole world you're in, everything. Like Predator Concrete Jungle just landed the Predator, but not everything around it. And I think that's why, as fun as it was, and a lot of people like that game, it doesn't really, they're not doing remakes or anything like that. So, what's that doing? Anyway, that was a fun game. But then, Concrete Jungle, as we saw, it doesn't look as good. So I think what happened was 2005 was just a time where a lot of amazing games were coming out, while games got left behind just because of that time period, Man, there's so many games like these X-Men Legends games, Midnight Club 3, True Crime New York. I loved LA. Wow, Guild Wars originally released there, the first Forza Motorsports, Ninja Gaiden Black, Mercenaries. Oh my gosh, I tell you, there's so much in 2005. That was crazy. 2005 is crazy. I can't say I never played Shadow of the Colossus. I never beat Shadow of the Colossus, even though I think it's cool. But, let's see. I know it sounds like Boomer Gamer Bros, but seriously, early 2000s repeat gaming. No, it really was, Steven, because it's that mix of, okay, now you can play games at home, so there's more quality of life improvements, but then also trying to still carry over the challenges that were part of arcade gaming. It's very interesting stuff where you can have long-term games with saves, but also unique challenges. It was, and with that 3D too, it was a lot of limitations. So interesting gameplay elements came out of that. It really was, the technological boom led to so much creativity in every game. The variety of games too, not just one AAA 100 million budget, everything. You're right. That's a good point. When you look at this, I mean, Killer 7, Shadow the Hedgehog, Star Wars Republic Commando, Fahrenheit. I never played it, but I remember that being a big deal. Hey, Splinter Cell, Chaos Theory, Kingdom Hearts, Jade Empire, so many. Battlefield 2. Battlefield 2 was my favorite Battlefield. And I remember when that came out, I was working private security and all the guys were into it. So we were talking about when we get off work, we'd play. That's really cool. Oh, the 50 Cent Bulletproof game? Or is it the other one that's supposed to be the popular one? The Sands? I forget. That was the debut of Katamari. That's pretty cool. Okay, so anyway, that was just to say, Predator Concrete Jungle is still a good game, but I think it does deserve a little modernization in a re-release. It is very interesting sometimes with the Alien and Predator franchise, how much they double down on it and then how much they don't. like in the 90s, getting the video games, the toys, and then it kind of petered out after the movies, but we still get things. So, okay. Let's move on to some news because the gaming, again, not too much going on. I've had kind of a crazy week. My mind is in other places. Not a bad reason, but not that I'm really sitting down long term with a game. I need to find that next. Well, again, I'm going to scroll down. Okay, I did beat Neon Inferno, so technically that was a long term game. House Fighters told a mess. I beat it, but not really. Um, the last one has to be. I was playing that Tozahua Nights. I stopped Alien Rogue Incursion. I should go back to Alien Rogue Incursion and beat that. I think the last main one was Donkey Kong. Okay. So here's some interesting news. Ubisoft and FX are working on a Far Cry TV series. To be honest, I kind of don't care. So like with Far Cry, that first one was awesome. It was that time where FPSs were being revolutionized. Hey, when did Far Cry come out? Don't tell me that was I did POC. 2004. That was the year before. See, that's another thing. I was a big PC gamer. So a lot of times I would play games on PC that would just annihilate anything coming out on the console. And Far Cry for 2004, it had AI that was really awesome and different for the time. So the original creators of Far Cry aren't even working on it. It's now with Ubisoft. It's now just an IP. But to be honest, I think what they've done with the IP has been very interesting. I never really played past Far Cry 3. I thought Far Cry 3 was pretty amazing, to be honest. I really liked the story. I think it was the first time for me in video games, like they were able to have stories that had such a root core resonating primal thing about it. I don't know. That game really did it for me. But I didn't really play the others, but they look cool. I like the theme of like some neat cartoony villain and then whatever area you're in. I think those games deserve more gameplay. In fact, for me playing it more, but in fact, I would rather those games be third person, open world stuff. I just prefer running around in third person, like Avowed. They had that third person option that made the game fun. But anyway, with a TV series, I just kind of don't care, but it works great it could be good because it's less about it being like a video game and more about the themes of Far Cry, which is these kind of exotic locations where these heroes are trying to survive while up against a cartoony villain. In a way, I say cartoony, but maybe that's the wrong way to put it. But where the villain might be the highlight of the show, the main part of the show. So I could see a Far Cry TV series working because Ubisoft was able to kind of solidify what Far Cry is, which doesn't happen a lot with games. Like I think that for me, that's the issue with the new God of War games. They are not based on what they were before. Okay. I wish more games did what Star Wars Battlefront did, let you switch between third and first person on the fly. I agree. And I used to be like, well, if the game was made that way, you should do it. No, but there is something to your immersion level of a game. I mean, you're already holding a controller, so seeing the character or not seeing the character, to me, I've realized doesn't matter. Seeing the character more sometimes helps because I want to be more immersed in that character, in that world. But sometimes I want to be more like immersed in the world. Like I would play Star Wars Battlefront. I remember I have the video where we were on, oh no, Adam. Are you losing Camino, the clone world, and we were inside one of the clone facilities fighting. And I remember being a clone, and I'm shooting, and I'm purposely in first person. And then Grievous walks in. I'm like, oh my god, we're all shooting Grievous, and he's swinging. I'm like flipping, like because they had that dodge mechanic. I'm able to dodge while he's swinging, and it was just such a great feeling. As I am talking, I am just gonna go see if it happens to be. No, actually, I should click view. If I just happen to have that video, just talking about it got me excited. So I'm gonna just do Battlefront. I'm not gonna take too much time. Oh wait, no, I'm supposed to do it on here, so I'm already taking up too much time. Okay. It's probably not here then, but man, how much fun was it? Battlefront 2. Yeah, good call out. Okay. So this is really short. Karate Blazers. This was a 1991 arcade beat 'em up from Konami. It is now on consoles. It's at Arcade Archives, which I feel like is a little overpriced. But I wonder if that's like a certain market where there's, older people that are willing to pay between $8 and $10, I guess, a week or every 2 weeks for these games. Because it's the same thing, right? Where the game will be released on Nintendo Switch, PS4, and will cost $7.99. Okay, so they're not going to do the PS5 version or Switch 2 that's more expensive. They've been doing that recently. Anyway, I'd like to check this out. $7.99 is not bad, actually. Tomorrow. Huh. Okay. Okay, Destiny 3 has just been leaked to be in early development by reliable Bungie leaker. I almost feel like, with Marathon not looking so hot, Bungie really has no choice but to do a Destiny 3, which, oh my God, look at all these pop-ups. So disgusting. Which I'm not a fan. The Destiny games are fun mechanically, but to keep me long term, there's really nothing there. Maybe 3 has a chance to do that. I just know they're going to focus on Marathon right now, and I don't really care about extraction shooters. So, okay, so there's a leaked pitch deck for the Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake. And this is from Q1 2024. The idea was to remake Sands of Time, which they should do. I mean, I'm surprised there's not a remaster, or unless there was and I forgot about it. But that was such a great game. Again, when did that come out? 2003. So I remember playing it in my first apartment, or second apartment. That's about right, because I graduated high school 2002. I moved out that summer. So yeah, by 2003, because I remember and I don't know if it's true what was told to me, but I remember I was in my apartment playing the game. This was a great when you're first living on your own. I was sitting there playing Prince of Persia in my apartment, ordered some pizza. The pizza gets delivered, and it's this girl, and she's like, "Oh, what are you playing?" And I was like, "Oh, Prince of Persia." She's like, "Oh, my boyfriend works on that game." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And I don't know how much that's true. Did Ubisoft have people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area working on Sands of Time, unless it was just a QA tester or something? But I just went with it. Thought that was a funny discussion. But anyway, from this, I guess the biggest thing is, modernizing Sands of Time, but also making it where you rely less on protecting that girl character and more of than she has combat abilities that you can use, which that's cool. I could see myself playing a remake, remaster, etc. But sometimes you get into these remakes, remasters, and then it's like, okay, I get it. This is neat. I don't know. I'll be curious to see. Okay. So, Chinese journalist says From Software's Duskblood spent the longest time on gameplay prototyping containing many innovative elements, greenlit before 2019. So, that's pretty crazy for a lot of reasons. I think one of the things I'm thinking about is just with the Bloodborne IP, because from what I understand, the Bloodborne IP is tied up between Sony and FromSoft or something, where it's like Sony has say on what happens with the Bloodborne IP, but FromSoft, doesn't like that, so they haven't been doing anything. So they've just created, and that's probably why then this started so long ago, before 2019, and we haven't heard about a Bloodborne remake, re-release, remaster. I think remaster is what they want. And I think it's because of whatever this issue is. So it's very interesting that in this Duskblood game is going to be on Switch. It's pretty much a Night Rain of Bloodborne. So I haven't even played Night Rain, and I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I really care, because I don't think I would like it, just because it's the mechanics of Dark Souls, but I'm not in a persistent world. It's more of just instances where I just use my combat and then move on. I think that's the difference. I like games where I have this world that my investment in my character is reflected in, not like a presence, an online presence. which most games are doing nowadays. It's more about the online presence. Anyway, I thought this was interesting. It doesn't look like there's much more information about this. Really interested to see what this is like. This Duskblood is like, because I think Bloodborne's their biggest game. Maybe not by numbers. It's probably Elden Ring, but I really think when it comes to everyone that plays Souls games, and then if you filter out people that are just playing to play, and you take like core people, like what makes a good Souls game, I think people are going to point to Bloodborne for a lot of reasons. Even for me, it was the first Souls game that clicked with me that I played all the way through. And then I proceeded to play it multiple times. I want to say 6, potentially, like do it to get the alternate endings. Then when the DLC came out, love the game. Yo, Zeonic Shadow, cool, good to see you here. I saw you here when I was at that later time. Didn't know if you could make this time, so that's pretty cool. The Xbox Prince of Persia already fixed the stuff they were claiming to fix. Oh, did it? Oh, did it really? See, I played it on Xbox, which was the superior way to play back then. Hey, Jonas, Prince of Persia would definitely be remastered as a trilogy. Yeah, I mean, it should be. Apparently, they're just doing the first game, though, the Sands of Time game. So, was there anything else to cover? I think that's it. Yeah, not too much news. And I don't even know what I'm going to be playing necessarily this week. I want to play the SpongeBob Titans of the Tide or something. The platformer. There's a demo out. It's a lot of fun. Also, that speaking of Titans, I don't know, Titanic Scion, the Demon X Machina. It got an update. Looking, that's like, wow, that looks like a game I want to spend more time in because I've played the demo a whole bunch. Zeonic Shadow's playing Where the Wind Meets, or Where the Winds Meet, whatever. Yeah, my brother's playing the same one, the same game, and he's saying he really likes it. I might need to check it out. Chasm. Okay, yeah, that's another one. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know, because usually on Thanksgiving, maybe we'll talk about tomorrow morning, there's always the Thanksgiving game. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Hint, Assassin's Creed has some Thanksgiving memories to it. So Diddy Kong Racing is another one. Anyway, guys, I'm going to head out. I'll be back tomorrow some more. So until then, have a good one. See y'all.